Noah Formica, or is that right? Formica,
No, that's
or
pretty good. For Micah, for Mika, either way works.
yeah, Formica. He is with Turning Point Action, Pennsylvania, from Allegheny County. Met him. I guess I met him a few years back at the Constitution Conference with Rick Green and several other guests that were there, and we got talking about pretty much the GOP and getting signed up and stuff like that. And I told Noah that I was already part of the GOP in York County, and we stayed in touch. He actually got me involved in running for judge of elections this primary election, which I won with, I think it was 85 votes. So I'm on the general election coming up, thanks to Noah and was it the CAP? Yeah, I think what it's called, CAP. Yeah.
They called it
So
Joe.
Joe, yeah,
Yep.
but it's by CAP, I think. So yeah, well, Noah is part of Turning Point Action Pennsylvania, so he's going to give you his background, how he got started, how active he's been in the party and in Turning Point Action, and his success so far. And then we're going to be discussing election and going forward. So go ahead, Noah.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you for the great introduction. I'm actually really glad to actually hear that you won your Judge of Elections position. Fortunately, a lot of people don't decide to run for Judge of Elections, so we're in a position where, fortunately, if they don't run for it, Democrats get appointed to that position. So you stepping up to the plate doing that is such a huge deal breaker and a game changer, especially, I mean, in York County, where, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of Republicans doing that. And, hopefully in future cycles, we'll start to see that. But to get to a little bit about myself, so I first got involved when I was 15. I'm 25 now. People will tell you being involved in politics for 10 years is kind of like dog years. So you kind of age fast and you learn a lot within the field. I first got involved when I was 15 when Trump came down the golden escalator, and that's when I started paying it directly involved like attention to politics. Started getting involved with like my local Republican committee, attending their meetings, getting involved with my local state representative. And another funny story from that year as well is, I mean, the first Republican debate came on, and my mom actually pointed at the screen. She's like, "That's gonna be our next president someday," and I don't know how she predicted it from that day forward. And I was like, I got to do everything I can to help this guy because I loved his, drive. I loved his momentum, and his policies. Just everything resonated with me. And if my mom says something, more than likely it's gonna happen because Mama Bears know best. Then fast forward, a few years later, 2018, that's when eventually I became a committee member. Because in order to become a committee member, you have to turn 18. So I got elected in my precinct in South Park, which is a municipality in Allegheny County, and then continued to volunteer locally with like local candidates, kind of getting my name out there, building up rapport, learning different tricks of the trade. Like I started off as just like a simple door knocker, and then I started just attending more and more events. Fast forward even further, I graduated from high school, graduated from college, 2022 for political science communications. I will tell you guys, college is a scam. It is one of those. Unfortunately, they did try to indoctrinate me within that college system. And if anybody knows, it's California University of Pennsylvania. They call it West Penn now. So it's in Washington County. Really great school, but professors are woke as heck. And I got a job with the PAGOP in Region 8 and that cycle as well, which was the Doug Mastriano cycle. And I had the pleasure and honor of knocking 33,000 doors from bright early in the morning till dawn at night. And I just had a calling. I felt like I could do more. So what I ended up doing, I stepped up to the plate 2023. I got the job with Turning Point Action. Um, and then afterwards, when 2024 came around, I started to notice there were so many unregistered voters just going from event to event to event. I was like, I need to step up to the plate. I need to do more. I need to talk to these people and meet them where they're at. So eventually I was able to register 3,000 voters just from going to all these different events all across Pennsylvania after the 2024 cycle. And I mean, it was an esteemed honor, and I'll do it all over again in a heartbeat if I could. And actually, I am thinking I'm probably going to do a lot more voter registration next cycle because that is going to be a deal breaker.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be a deal breaker with, would that be 2026? All right.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, because they got the governor election, and there is a heated discussion with that going on, whether Mastriano is going to run, whether Stacey's going to run. I know that what's his name stepped down from uh, up close to Harrisburg area. What was his name? Dan Muser. He stepped
Yep.
down. So and to me, Stacey Garrity is the only one that I can see beating Josh right now because we already saw that Doug Mastriano is unelectable in 2022. Um, so I think a candidate like Stacey Garrity, who actually won on the ballot without Trump in 2020, and then won with Trump on the ballot in 2024, this recent election, and had the most votes for a statewide office and beaten Josh Shapiro's record with 3.9 million votes is definitely credible to have her run on the ballot. Um, so yeah, it's definitely going to be a thing, especially with registering Republicans. I mean, we are up to almost, I think the last I saw was like 5,000 or 50,000 some registered Republicans, thanks to you and Scott Presler and the GOP doing the activism going on with training and stuff like that, and the automatic registered voters for light driver's license and stuff. So we're outnumbering them already, the Democrats already with registered voters. So that's good. Um, it's
Um,
it's just getting them out.
yeah, so I will actually add, so unfortunately we have not increased the active voter number went down, so it is around 46 to 56,000 active Democrat voters to Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania. Now I expect that to go down on Monday. Um as they continue to clear the voter rolls, find people who shouldn't be registered at all. Unfortunately, I will tell you, being in Allegheny County, there's a lot of people who should not be registered at all.
Oh yeah.
And then the actual like hard numbers. So like if you're just looking at active and then just general like lead from the Democrats in Pennsylvania, it's around. And I usually have the hard numbers on me. I haven't kept the hard numbers on me for a while, but it's around 170,000 now. And whenever it gets like down to crunch time, whenever like it's a cycle, like a presidential cycle or a midterm cycle, typically you'll see those numbers start to increase and a lot more people actively want to register to vote. You aren't going to see a lot of people want to register to vote this cycle, maybe a little more towards election day. But next year, that's going to be crucial. That's going to be crunch time. That's where we're really going to get people who are starting to pay attention. And then fast forward, I mean, when we get to 2028, you're going to see a lot of people wanting to register to vote for JD Vance. And I mean, we're going to see the numbers. I mean, and if you look at the numbers back in 2022, Democrats actually had over 595,000 voter registration advantage in the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, chipped over 400,000 in just a couple years alone. So I mean, that's just a testament to just all the different work like the grassroots space has been doing over the course of these many years, and other activist leaders as well. And if we could just continue to register these voters, continue to meet them where they're at, which unfortunately is a lot of Trump rallies as well, um, then we will get them all mobilized and we will eventually win.
So here in your county for the recent election, municipal election, it was a 10% turnout. Um, twice as worse as what it was in 2023 when we had school board races, but it was also because it was all that was 29%. But I mean, that was mostly due because of the whole Biden administration and CRT and indoctrination in schools and high schools and COVID and parents being angry to it. It wasn't a heated thing uh, this coming year, and I think that kind of drew down the crowd. Plus the mail-in ballots, people just being too lazy to go out and vote, or you vote early as well. Um, I ran, of course, you know that I ran in my school district for school board member, and like all of us got like 1,000. But I mean, most of that was probably mail-in ballots and early votes, rather than in-person voting, which was probably the 10%. But yeah, I mean, we definitely have to focus on getting them out to vote, because not only is it important for the local ones, but it's also important for the statewide, as well as the retention. Because if we don't have enough, if we at least need 50% or more for a statewide win for Supreme Court and Superior Court candidates to get in, and we also need that same, probably the same amount of votes to vote no, to vacate the 5 judges that are going to be up for reattention, so we can get Republicans on the bench in 2028, or yeah, 2027, I think it would be, or 2028. Um, and I mean, we tried that in 2023, and we hardly got anywhere with it. So we need to try, definitely a huge big push for, Turning Point, Scott Presler, and the GOP to get the people out. I mean, just look at the failure that happened in Lancaster 36th district with Josh Parsons. I mean, Scott was out there, but nobody wanted to go out and vote, and was also probably, from what I heard, it was also due to a lot of Democrats pouring in money to different PACs, and just flooding it in their direction. Do you have any opinion on that as well?
Um, so kind of to go from like the very beginning. So we're going to talk about like a lot of the voter turnout. Unfortunately, it was egregious in the primary, but I do want to make one thing clear is that the primaries after a major election year, we are going to see a little bit of a diminished turnout. Unfortunately, though, since my tenure being involved in politics, I also want to sound a even bigger alarm. If you kind of pay attention to 2016 and 2020, what happened those years, all the off-year election cycles, even the midterm, Republicans got complacent, they got lazy. Especially in 2016, Republicans were like, okay, well, we don't have to do anything, we won. Well, that's not the mentality that's going to help, these local races. That's going to help us win up and down the ballot and make sure we change our community, because it all starts local. That's one of my mottos, and our motto and Turning Point is be neighborly. Everything you should do with that mindset is help your local candidates, and as you help your local candidates, that'll eventually help the higher up candidates. Um, so I mean, 2016, after those year cycles are terrible. 2020 came around. We all thought we were going to win that cycle. Unfortunately, we didn't. And then everybody got doom and gloom. Everybody got lazy. What we're starting to see now, 2024, we had a great victory, upset victory. I was a little scared, especially me being in Allegheny County and being an election worker, seeing all these people who I know voting Democrat getting out to vote. And I was like, oh God, are we going to win this? I don't know. I didn't see a lot of Republicans actually go out to vote in my precinct. And, Democrats actually poured a lot more money into our county this cycle. But, a lot of the red counties pulled through in 2024. Unfortunately, though, is it going to fizzle to anything in these off year cycles? And that's where I'm a little bit worried. So, what I'm telling people actively on the field is stay in the game, stay mobilized, because if we continue to get complacent like we did in previous cycles, then we're going to lose all of our momentum, and we could potentially have an offset loss and, potentially 2028. And we can't have that at all. Because if we let the Democrats take control of the White House again, we're just going to lose our, all the great work we are doing under this administration. So the kind of I mentioned earlier, like a few seconds ago, there's actually a couple counties in Pennsylvania that could just change the whole demographic of Pennsylvania. So we got York County, Lebanon County, and Lancaster County. We have a lot of registered Republicans in those counties and a lot of unregistered Republican leaners in those counties as well. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of other Republican counties as well statewide. But Pennsylvania would already be a red state if all of our Republican people just simply went out to vote and made their voices heard. And that was evident to me as well, and not in these red counties, but also Allegheny County, where we had a important election in 2023, where it was Joe Rocky versus Sarah Emirato. And what was crucial about that is we could have had a Republican county executive. Unfortunately, we did not. We lost by 3,000 votes. Why? It's because Republicans didn't get out the vote, while Democrats, actually, we had a lot of Democrat moderates supporting our candidate, and that was like unheard of in history. So we were super close to flipping that seat, but we somehow got a George Soros DA to completely lose his election, and we got a Republican elected in there. And while he was technically a Democrat by paper because he ran on the Republican ballot because people wrote his name in, it was still, taking the lesser of two evils to make sure that we can keep our city safe and secure. But yeah, I mean, we have a winning issue this cycle. The no, no, no. But there's also two more no's. No, no, five times. We got to get rid of the whole slate of judges, especially those three. I mean, obviously, they kept the Green Party off the ballot. Among various issues, locked us down during COVID, made the whole mail in ballot scheme that completely changed our election system. And just, I mean, the whole list of issues goes on with why these people should just be disbarred and completely removed from the bench. So hopefully, we make a lot of noise this cycle to completely get rid of them, all five of them. Um, because it is a truly winning and mobilizing issue that a lot of people are starting to actually get out to vote for. And people are registering to vote in higher numbers. People are starting to request mail-in ballots. So I think the work, if we don't win this cycle, I'm a little bit scared. I hope we do. I'm praying to God we do. But if we don't, I think the work we put in this cycle is going to be a big victory in paving the way for next cycle as well. Which, I mean, truly, to make sure that we have a good governor's election, you need to start campaigning the year before the election. So, campaigning this year, what we're trying to do right now, is perfect. And I don't know who it's going to be yet. I already know who I want. Um, I'm just hoping that us as a party, we can unify fast behind a candidate, get our bodies out there probably around September, October, start knocking doors, even after November. Like, heck, let's just start knocking doors after the November election, just letting people know, hey, get out to vote for this candidate when it comes November of next year. Because all this work we do now, and I mean, if you guys remember Wisconsin, Brad Schimmel, he
Mhm.
was campaigning for well over 2 years before people really started to pay attention to his race on a national level. So if we just start making a lot of noise and start putting a lot of pressure at these doors, talking to everyday people, getting people mobilized to vote, then that is eventually going to lead us to victory. And I think I am very hopeful. I think we can do it. And I actually give it a above 50% chance we get rid of Josh Shapiro next year. But the work starts now.
So apparently, no one on the that's running for governor in 2026 has really made a commitment. So, or has that came out and made an announcement. It's just all speculation at this point. Of course, Doug Mastriano on his Twitter or his X, posted different logos saying which one do y'all like, for governor, a logo, and of course there's just talk with Stacey Garrett at this point. I mean, how? I mean, shouldn't they be out there like at this time, or wouldn't it be more closer, or shouldn't they be making it?
Um, so I see Doug's messaging out there. I actually see Stacy's messaging out there. Did actually see she's going to be doing a couple local events very soon. So I they are getting their faces out there. So we don't really know who is going to be the top contender. There is kind of word that our state party is going to make an endorsement around September. So I
Yeah.
think the earliest the endorsement, the better we're going to be, and the better we can unify as a party. Um, I know previous cycles, of course, in 2022, we endorsed like during the primary process. Obviously, we'd endorse like the year before the election day, and everybody was bitter. Nobody really wanted to unite. Nobody really wanted to get together and shake hands and kiss each other just to get out there and knock doors for the winning team. But I think now that we're doing this now, we're talking about this and making it an issue this year. I think we're really going to start to see things change, and we're going to see a lot of these people who are a lot more skeptical of endorsements start to come out and say, okay, well, what the heck? We need to come out and just unify and get this done. And I personally am starting to see like the only top contender right now is probably going to be Stacey Garrity. Definitely, honestly, probably 100%. She's got the drive. Obviously, if you kind of look at 2020, she was the only candidate statewide that had more votes than, of course, Donald Trump, which is crazy. She has a lot of Democrat support too. She's, one of the favorite treasurers, and honestly, her term's up after this, so she's not going to lose anything if she runs for this. And of course, if she loses against Josh Shapiro, then she's still going to be treasurer and finish off her term. So I mean, there's no real loss there at all.
Right. So you think that Doug is not going to be a contender?
Um, so I like Doug personally. I don't think the party is going to endorse him, to be honest.
I don't think he is either after the 2022 loss, and they decided not to in 2022 not to endorse any candidate, and we lost completely.
Yeah,
And
like
everybody was saying back then, everybody was saying, well, he didn't want the GOP's help. It's not that he didn't want the GOP's help. The GOP didn't endorse any candidate, and that was the way it is. And because I know a lot of people now are like, well, endorse. We should not be endorsing people. The primaries is for the people to decide. But you know, but then you look at 2022, and it's like, well, I did that. Look what happened.
yeah. Um, Fortunately, things didn't play out as well, but I like Stacy as well. I think Stacy is a fantastic person. So, I mean, I think if she is the one who is at the top of the ticket, she is endorsed by the PAGOP. I think we are going to be in a good position to win. Um, so that's kind of my 2 cents in this situation. I just hope everything pans out the way we want it with the endorsement process, and we just all get together.
Yep. So, while we're on the 2026 election, we also have another huge election coming up. You can see when I'm posting up, right?
I cannot.
Okay, I'll put it up, and then I'm gonna put up the slide here. Can you see that?
Yes.
So I don't know if I can get it up. So if you can see it all, these are uh, three the three chairs for the PAGOP. They're also up in this upcoming election. A lot of people don't really know how important the state chairs are to the party and Republican Party and how they run the things. So let's talk a little bit about that. So um, if you know who Dan Schultz is, right? Precinct Strategy.
Um, I do not personally, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, he's a precinct committeeman now in Wisconsin. Formerly was in Arizona, and along with her name was Kathy Petsass at the time. Um, but he moved to Wisconsin, and he still does Rumble stuff, getting people involved in the precinct strategy. Of course, you know what that is, getting people involved in the precinct committeeman and stuff like that. And so he goes, and I always listen to him because he's a pro at this. He says that the precinct committeemen vote on county party leadership, and then the county party leadership votes on state party leadership, and the state party leadership votes on RNC chairs. It's real political power. And so that's why it's important to get into if you want to change the Republican Party, from the only way to do it is from inside the party. And you need to get involved and become a precinct committeeman, because it's still, I mean, it's better than making of a third party as Elon Musk went. It's cheaper and it doesn't cost you anything but 3 hours of your time to go to a meeting and knock doors, make phone calls during election season, and and it's real. I mean, if you want to change the messaging, that's how you do it. You got to flood these seats with mega conservatives, or else the rhinos will take it over and switch it and run it their way. So that's why, and we have what I think it's like four. I think there's four, maybe, or three seats for every county that are up um, in Pennsylvania this election. So if people get involved in the PA GOP or even county party, and there's 67 in the 67 counties, they can make a huge difference. And because even Greg Rothman said that it's not the PA GOP committee people that are doing doing the hard work. It's the county committees that are out there knocking doors. It's the volunteers, not the PAGOP. They just endorse candidates and hold vetting processes. But as we saw this election, um, it was Ann Wheatcraft and Matt Wolford, and we got one conservative Superior Court candidate um, in this election by the grassroots, and that's Maria Batista. Because both of them wanted the establishment PAGOP Ps in, or not establishment GOPs, but establishment candidates in that they endorsed, and that was Ann Wheatcraft and Matt Wolford. Well, of course, Wolford won um, over Josh Prince, but I think that's because Josh Prince kind of did himself in 2023, and then possibly in 2024 um, with the way things went. Any opinion?
So right, so a couple of things. We'll start off with obviously the Superior and Supreme Court race. If you want my opinion, I think we got a winning ticket. Maria Batista, Matt Wolford. I think they complement each other well. Fortunately, they're from Southwest Pennsylvania. Together, we don't have somebody on the other side of the state, but that's okay. They're going to all these different events. I see them constantly on the field. Like I'll go and register voters at a county fair, or I'll go to a Republican committee meeting. They're always there. They're always talking to the people, and they're always going to meet people where they're at. So they're doing their job. We just got to do our job. And you're a committee member. I'm a committee member. We need more people to step up into the process, get involved, because not only what you said, people can actually step up and get involved in the process where they can choose candidates, choose party leaders. But we need a bolstering force. That is the most important thing, first and foremost. Me being in Allegheny County, we have a committee with 500 to 600 committee members. We could potentially have over 2,000 committee members because we have that many precincts. And if people don't know, for every precinct, you can have a man and a female committee member, and that's just crucial. And county wide, like statewide as a whole, we have a lot of counties that have unfilled committees, like thousands upon thousands of slots where people can step up, get involved, and it's very easy. Like obviously next year, people can run as a committee member or committee man, committee woman, get 10 signatures, get your name on the ballot, and then you're pretty much going to win because usually nobody ever runs for the position at all. Or you can get appointed by the party by just attending meetings, and then you can fill out the appointment form and you'll become a full-fledged appointed committee member. But I always tell people be elected too. Like me being elected, I have to run again next year. You have to do it every governor's election. But now is the time that we have to start rebuilding our local Republican committees and make sure that we have a strong force that's going to help pave the way this year, the next year, the year after that. And I mean, those 4 years are going to go by super fast, and we're going to need a really strong force because we see what the Democrats are doing right now with, I mean, the No Kings. They're mad. They are getting out there. They have a little bit of momentum to their name, and that's not to scare anybody, but that's to tell you that they're active and they want to make sure that they can get out the vote and try to change things back to the way they are. And we have, of course, Zoran Mundami, who, I mean, completely is going to destroy New York. Let's just put it like that. I mean, he's a socialist. Fortunately, people don't at the bottom of the ticket aren't really going to stand a chance, and um, we just have to, as grassroots, unify, get involved with our Republican committee, step up to the plate, and eventually, I mean, like I said, 4 years, boom, we're going to need everybody we can to make sure that we get our next president back in there. Because if we don't, we're screwed.
Yeah, it seems like if we don't, it'll be like another Joe Biden, and then we'll get another Republican in because we can't because the party can't seem to get a good Republican in the following year after. I mean, we got lucky this time with him rerunning again in 2024, and with the huge onslaught um, win for President Trump and JD Vance, um, which is certainly good because I certainly wasn't going to be happy with Nikki Haley. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so Yeah, definitely. I
And
mean, the stronger the party is, the stronger the party is, and we fill these seats, the better off we are with proceeding forward. I mean, we got to finish what we started, as President Trump said in CPAC one year, and the only way to continue that progress is by getting in the fight and taking action. Um, and the best way to do that is become a precinct committeeman or a state committee person, and getting involved. Um, so yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
when it's
Um, our downfall as a party is just not enough people want to step up and get involved. That is our biggest downfall. If you kind of look at Democrat committee statewide, just Pennsylvania's Democrat committee as a whole, they almost have a full committee. They easily find people, and our issue is we aren't doing our job enough to find people where they're at, just simply going out to like fairs. I mean, I see a lot of Republican committees going to fairs. That's great. I think the question we should be asking every single person they walk by is, hey, get involved with our local Republican committee. You want to join us? You want to receive emails? Some kind of action for a lot of the everyday people so that they can get involved with our movement. And then potentiality, maybe, hey, they're like, oh, there's this event coming up. I'm going to go to it. And then they find it interesting and they want to step up to the plate and join the Republican committee. And we just need to keep doing everything we can to communicate with these people. Because, like I said earlier, it's all about being neighborly, being that person in your community. Because all politics is local, if you really think about it. That's why we are doing
Yep.
what we're doing as Republican committee members. And I mean, we're in charge as committee members to be involved in our precinct. So we could easily find people in our precincts who also want to get involved. And one of the surest ways of doing that is literally going door to door, talking to people. You wouldn't believe how many people, and I was knocking 33,000 doors in 2022, were like, not only did they need to register to vote at the door, which I was happy to help them, but they were like, hey, how do I get more involved? When then I exchanged my contact information with that person, they followed up with me, and some of them have actually attended events, attended meetings, and become full fledged committee members. And that's the kind of mentality that we need to just continue to multiply. I call it force multiplying because, if we all force multiply it, then it will just continue to grow faster and then everybody will be doing it. And as long as we do our part, we're going to see a lot more people step up.
So TP Action was about 2 years now. Um, had the initiative to also do precinct committeemen as well, sign people up. Um, how did that go? How I mean, do you still do that or are you just focusing more on collision now, or what? Or what's their initiative now?
Right. So we actually have a lot of duties as Turning Point Action. So, favorite duty, register voters. We also chase ballots. We recruit precinct committee members, as you were talking about. We build coalitions. And if you kind of are like, what is a coalition? If you remember Women for Trump, Latinos for Trump, all these different Trump coalitions, the only difference with ours is they don't dissolve. They just get stronger, they get better, and they even work in off year elections. Good example of one we actually have in Pennsylvania right now is our Southwest PA Healthy Americans Coalition, still kind of in its infancy stage, but it's in direct partnership with RFK's group, and it's just promoting healthy lifestyles within that area. And we would eventually like to form stuff on the other side of the state as we get more reps on that side of the state. We have two in Southwest Pennsylvania. Funny enough, both of us are in Allegheny County. So kind of in, like, I can't talk about it too much now, but we do have people in mind for the other side of the state. So more to come on that. But apart from the coalition duties, we also equip people with the tools that they need to succeed. And one of the most important ways we do that is by training people. And trainings I have been doing recently is teaching people how to register voters and teaching people how to properly door knock. And people are like, properly door knock? That's so easy. Well, unfortunately, people think it's easy. You got to be a little bit careful at the door. You got to do it a specific way, or you're going to just turn off a voter. And a lot of people just don't know how to fill out the voter registration form. They think it's going to take hours. They think it's going to take 10 minutes. Nope, it takes less than 1 minute if you know how to fill out the form properly, and you can fill it out for other people. But yeah, our job is to recruit precinct committee members. We're actively doing that still in the field. Our goal this cycle is to help recruit 1,000 precinct committee members statewide, help bolster Republican committees. We want to actually be that force to assist our party and make sure it thrives and grows and continue to do its job like it's always been doing.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at the 2024, it might have been the primary, um, and I was standing outside electioneering, they call it, handing out information and stuff. I found a guy who was from, I think he said he was from New Hampshire, and he was for he was a volunteer person for Trump back in 2016, and was involved in that. And when I found out about that, and I found out that my current party person or co-partner, because there's you can have two to a precinct, um, had resigned because she was getting a little old and hardly did anything. I was like, you know what? I have two good people, lined up for to fill this in. I can contact my district captain and she can get him appointed um, for it or even get elected. So I contacted uh, the two people. I only got hold of one, the guy from New Hampshire, and I said he was all for it. He was like, "Yeah, sure." It's like I said, even if you don't get appointed, right away, 2026 is coming up, and you can also get elected. All you need is 10 signatures on a petition, and you're on the ballot. So he's like, "Yeah, that's no problem. That's simple." So then I forwarded it to my district captain. So I'm waiting to see whether he's going to get appointed or if he's just going to run. If he didn't get appointed, I'm just going to tell him, hey, wait to 2026 and run. Definitely get on then. So, I mean, and that's what I'm known for practically around, at least in my district, is getting recruiting people and appointing people to run because we are now. I'm just now finding out that we are losing committee people because they are losing interest in it, or they are just getting too old, and it's just like they're fading. I mean, we were almost full at 50%, and we only have. I'm thinking ours was just as a district. Ours was 20. I want to say 44 precincts, or no, 24, 22 precincts, and there's like 44 people if you do two, 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 and we were pretty close to it. But then when I was talking to my district captain, she was like, "Oh no, this person left and this person resigned," and so I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I better start finding people to recruit." So I just take a list off of L2 data and then put everybody that's a frequent voter from like eight, from like six to eight or whatever, 7 to 8 or whatever fives, and I just like call them or mail them with a flyer or whatever. Hey, you want to get involved in my contact information, and then if they email me back or call me back, then I go from there.
Yeah, so I will say I love a lot of our committee members statewide. Unfortunately, a lot of them are getting old, and they are kind of looking to pass that torch to somebody else. But unfortunately, we could be doing our jobs a little bit better and finding people that are willing to step up to the plate. A lot of young people, and I mean that's kind of the issue with our party right now. Is I mean I was just talking to a nice gentleman in a committee yesterday, and he was like, "No, I'm so ready to retire, step down. But I can't even find anybody who wants to do it." And unfortunately, their area's an elderly community, so you're really not going to find anybody who wants to step up too much there. But I'm gonna help him out, see if I can find somebody. But he's just like a lot of us have that mentality that if somebody just steps up, wants to do it, we're just gonna give it to him, and we're gonna do everything we can to teach him that knowledge. Because, I mean, we're starting to see Gen Z overwhelmingly start to trend Republican. Um, Unfortunately, though, a lot of the older people that are in our party that are actively doing the work, they're not going to be around for much longer. There's actually a joke is, I mean, you see when you go to these No Kings protests, you go to all these different Democrat protests, what do you see? A bunch of old people. Um, And that's kind of, that can be the mentality with a lot of parties, and that's what the left was actually banking on with the Republican Party, was our people were just going to die off and their party was going to continue to grow. Well, fortunately, we had a lot of groups like obviously Turning Point USA reaching actively out to the young voters on college campuses, getting people registered to vote at Turning Point Action, Turning Point Faith, going to the church communities, reaching people there, Blexit working in Black communities. So we had all these different groups under the Turning Point family, constantly reaching out to the younger people, getting them involved in our movement. So Gen Z went overwhelmingly Republican last cycle. We just got to continue as we've been doing to bring them into the fold and get them to step up with the Republican committees. And we've been doing that constantly. We're going to do a lot more of that. And yeah, anything we can do to help these people retire like they want, we're going to help them retire.
So Ryan Fournier, I think that's how you say his name, right? He's the head guy of students for Trump, I think it is.
Yes.
So do you guys go in there at all and like register or get people involved in the precinct committee as well? Because I know there'd probably be a lot of young college students, high school students within those collisions that would probably be um, useful for us.
Oh, for sure. So we can't really do it now because everybody's home for the summertime. So whenever it comes to next semester, we are going to be back at college campuses talking to them where they're at. I've actually tabled quite a few times at Penn State University, talked to them, registered people to vote. And as I'm registering them the vote, I'm like, hey, you guys want to get more involved? A lot of them say absolutely. They just don't know how to do it. And that's the big ask, is showing people how to get involved, how to do, like, get involved with conservative politics. And we actually had a couple successful campus tours. I'm sure a couple people know about them. Like, we had one at Pitt campus and another at Penn State. And between these two tours, we registered 600 voters. And there were like, oh my gosh, we had like over 800 just individual like coalition signups, and just people wanting to step up and getting involved with their like Republican committees as well. And I mean, that energy was all there. And then we had another event. Unfortunately, it was after the voter registration deadline, so all we could really do was prioritize getting people involved with like the Republican committees, getting coalition signups. But we had like almost 1,000 signups just one day alone for a college tour where they're listening to somebody try to change their mind. So people want to get involved, they just don't know how. So if we can meet them where they're at, go to the college campuses, um, go anywhere where young people hang out. That's one of the best ways and surest ways of getting people involved in our movement and getting people to join our fold.
That that is awesome to hear. I mean, because I mean that's what I've been saying for so long. I mean, I've been a committeeman since 2021, and I'm noticing just like people are just getting too old, and just have fun. Some of them are just seat warmers. They don't show up to meetings. They don't vote on stuff, and they're just there. And really, we need more of a useful GOP that is going to be able to at least knock doors, make phone calls, you know, set up events and stuff like that that get out and vote. Because there's um, very few of us that do, and there's a whole lot of elderly uh, people that don't. And it's like, well, we're all doing all the work, and you know, what's the sense of them being on the seat? So I mean, I think some of it people just take it as a title, or say, "Hey, I'm a committee person, but I don't do nothing." You know, it's like that's not how it works. You know, this is a grassroots movement. You know, you got to be able to get out there and knock doors and make phone calls and register voters. I mean, you just can't, you know, get elected or be appointed and say I did this or when you didn't do nothing. So
Exactly. And our committee actually is laying the foundation for getting people to do the work that have predominantly not done the work. So we have a goal as a committee. each township and district committee has to register 5 voters per month. And a lot of people are like, oh gosh, like that seems like a lot. I'm just like, oh right, that's just like a 1 day of thing for me. Um, but
3,000
some
you registered.
yeah, some people find that hard, but I mean, honestly, if you start putting like specific requirements or specific goals on these people, people will eventually step up to do the work. And unfortunately, though, we have people put in the positions, and I have a few people on my committee too, like for my township committee, who don't want to do the work. They just want to show up and complain and get involved in the voting process. We need to just stop thinking about committee as just, hey, I can get involved in the committee just to vote for the people I like. Well, you also need to do the work as well. If you don't do the work, then why are you on the committee?
Right. So, um, going back to this upcoming election, um, with the retention, why don't you tell them why it is so important for us to vote? No, was it 5 times in this election? And I have a couple of slides that go through explain what they do, and so while you're talking, I'll get that ready for you, and we'll talk about it. And so, go ahead.
Right. So I think I touched up on this earlier, but so the main reasons why you should not vote for them is obviously if you know what they did. They kept the Green Party off the ballot in 2020, which I think was egregious. That could have probably played a huge difference and made or break Pennsylvania that cycle. Fortunately, Democrat politics, they're always going to try and cheat and steal. Um, they also, those three specific judges that we're really trying to vote no, no, no on. Of course, we have two other no's, which we're going to try and get rid of them as well. But these three specific no's, they locked down our state, made it so that we could not exercise our right to religion. They made us all wear masks. Fortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs as a result of our Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. The mask mandates, the stay at home order. People couldn't go to church, practice their faith. So, I mean, there's just so many issues where we should definitely get rid of these people because at this point, they're not even judges for the people, they're judges for the party, which is the Democrat Party, and they're there for special interests, not actually to do what the people have elected them to do.
The other one, if I remember right, is that while they took off the third party off the ballot, they also gave the legislative district the third party and redistricted all Democrats into the district more to the more districts as well, um, and that kind of progressed as we have seen. We have been in the lame duck session for almost about 2 years now because Democrats are more running in the House districts and Senate districts and um, so forth. So that's another thing. It's also important because if we get these five off the bench and vacate them and we can have a 5-2 Republican majority over the Democrats in I think 2027. I want to say is a special election if we get them off the ballot and just in time for 2028 presidential election, which would help greatly with the state as well as counties and the presidential election and houses as well. A lot of people don't know how important uh, these these family courts and small courts and appellate court judges are. I mean, they see everything from your electric bill to family issues and abuse and just different court and family issues and county issues, how much the county is spending, and who's getting convicted locally and stuff like that. I mean, it is really important um, that we get these judges in. Um, I mean, Republicans are all about law and order, so let's hope that the Republican majority, show up for voting no. in this coming election. As you can see, I have posted up, or I put behind me um, in our chat here. It says um, they violated your constitutional freedoms, shredded our election integrity, overturned convictions of sexual predators, enjoyed lifetime Cadillac pension plans at taxpayers' expense. You voting no for Justice Christine Donahue, vote no for Justice Kevin Dougherty and Justice David Wecht. Says on the far right, let's fire these judges by voting no on November 4th. If we vote them out at a special, if we vote them out, a special election will be held 2027, and we could create a Republican majority on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court before the next presidential election. Um, so that's just a little rundown for everybody that these are the things that were violated and how corrupt the judges that we have in our courts are now. We must deconstruct the administrative state in Pennsylvania and the courts and turn it over to Republican majority in 2028. Um, every day is going to be a fight to save our republic and to save your counties. And the best way to do it is getting involved in your elections and committee, GOP and state committee. And you heard it first from Noah and both of us. But it is so important that that we get these voters out in this election, because we can't become complacent, or else we'll fall back into to another 2020 2021 um, 2021 presidential election, or even worse. And we can't let the Democrats think that we have given up, and let our turn our country into a communist socialist country, or a state which could be like New York, where if Madami gets in. Um, and that is incredible. I even saw a poll on, it might have been Fox News or on my Facebook, that said it was 38% polling for Madami, and everybody else was like 10, 15, 20. I mean, I I certainly get it that New York is filled now with immigrants and um, illegals, and now probably don't even know that they're voting in the system. But I can't believe that they would let their country like that. I mean, I certainly hope my vote. I certainly hope that Stilwell wins um, in this governor election. So I don't know about you, but that's just where I stand. I like Stilwell better than Eric Adams, and I forget who the other Republican was, but yep.
Yeah, so I'd be happy if anybody but Zoran, and I'm just gonna call him Mud Dummy because it's pretty much what he is. He is a dummy because he doesn't know these policies he's advocating for, and unfortunately, a lot of his people are like borderline like terrorist sympathizers. If you look at Nate Friedman's recent video where he goes over a lot of these paid protesters, like he goes into grave detail about like what these people do on a daily basis. A lot of them are Zodami supporters. So God, I hope just we have somebody that's not him win. I don't even care if it's a Democrat at this point, just because those people aren't actively pushing for the abolishment of the PD down there. We need that force to be able to bolster the city, to protect the city. And I mean, we had situations in Pittsburgh where people were wanting to abolish the Pittsburgh police. We can't have that. Um, Once you get rid of the police force, like you're gonna just have lawlessness in the city. Um, and that's what the Democrats want nowadays. They just want lawlessness. We just got to bring back law and order and continue to make sure that our communities are safe.
Yeah, and he had, it was just astounding to find that he had, what was it? He had communist ties, in his past, which is, I mean, that's almost treasonous to even run in this country. I would have arrested him, and put him in jail if that was the case. Um, but
Well, and
apparently,
he had a post too where he was actively um, making fun of a police officer for crying on the job. which kind of shows a lot about his character. And this was like well before he started the run for mayor. So he was actively making fun of the police. His stance was already known. Of course, he's trying to backtrack just a tiny little bit, especially after the unfortunately we lost a great police officer in the city. Um, but
Yeah.
he really can't stop, and he's not really going to change what he's done in the past. And I really hope people start to wake up, people really start to see that. I see a lot of people making noise in New York. I just hope they continue to make a lot more noise because we're going to need it. And one of the best ways they can do that, again, get involved with their local Republican committee, because New York's
Yep.
GOP needs a lot of help. They're looking for a lot of people as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, it is quite interesting that New York isn't in that way. I was hoping that at least Stefanik would step up and run since she wasn't put on in any administration by Trump, and Trump said, "Hey, you need to stay here," because evidently he was when he was doing his cabinet members, he was taking a lot of House members and Senate members in his thing. I mean, he almost picked, he picked Matt Gates one time, and he picked Rubio. And he picked a few other people that oh, um, he picked the DNI Tulsi Gabbard, who was in the House. And so there was a lot of picks that came from the House that we were losing majority of, and I think he kind of realized that some people needed to stay there that wanted to go with the cabinet instead. So
Yeah, he definitely, I mean, I'm happy with a lot of his choices for his administration because I think everybody is working overtime. Everybody's got the passion within it. Fortunately, though, we are having issues with a lot of civilian appointees. So let's hope we can get the over 150 people actually across the finish line. I'm a little bit skeptical because I just saw that fortunately they haven't really made a decision there. They didn't get anything done. But Trump needs his crucial, not only like he has his cabinet people, but he needs his special appointees too, just so he can be able to legislate and take care of the country properly. And fortunately, the Democrats are going to do everything they can to make sure that we cannot properly take care of the country, because they want political power and they want to make Trump look bad while he's doing everything he can to make good on his promises and deliver for the American people.
yeah, I just saw that I think it was Michael Lee had written a legislation or something or a motion for like extending the calendar for recess for Trump to make nominees. So hopefully uh, that helps him get the nominees in for um, for appointees,
Yeah,
because I know there
maybe
was a lot of talk about them taking recess in the House.
absolutely, and maybe we should turn off the air conditioning just to get them to vote for the nominees faster.
Right? Turn up the heat a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, it's 5 o'clock, so um, we'll end with an hour with Noah Formica from TPE Action. Thank you for coming on the Lions Den with me, and we'll keep in touch. Where can they find you, Noah?
So you can actually find me in various places. You can look up my first and last name on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it nowadays. It is N for Micah GOP. That is NFORMICA GOP. You can also follow our organization, what we do actively on the field, TP Action underscore. That is TPACTION_. Support our organization, what we're doing actively on the field, because we're going to do a lot more of it and we want to invite everybody to join us. So if you guys need anything from me, feel free to private message me, whatever you need. I'm more than happy to assist.
Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steven.
Yep. Take care.
You too.